like pouring down outside. Then it's so muggy and warm. I feel like I complain about Northern Ireland's weather in so many videos, but honestly, like, what is the need for this? We'll jump into the video now. If you're new here, bit of context on me and why I can give you advice on making a radio demo. So my name's Victoria, I'm 24, and just under a year ago I landed my own show on one of Northern Ireland's top commercial radio stations, which is still such a novelty for me to say, and it makes me so happy. But before I landed that job, I honestly, like, I had made every mistake in the book when it comes to making a demo. I've been making my own demos, just using my own little recorder or my mobile phone at home, and sending them off to either station managers or asking local presenters if they could have a listen and give me some feedback, which they did, and they were telling me things that I did well, things that I could improve on, and yeah, I'm gonna take everything I learned and pass it on to you. Then the other kind of snippet of knowledge which I suppose I can add to this video is shortly after I got my job at Q, the Northern Ireland Student Radio Association, they did a talk at Q basically where there was a panel, and the station manager at Q, he was on that panel, and so was I. It was such a novelty to me because honestly 2 years before I'd been part of student radio, but basically the talk was all about demos and what station managers look for in demos and what you should be doing. So he was talking to all the Northern Irish students that were listening, wanting to break into radio, but I was taking it all in. Also, before I forget, when it comes to getting a job presenting in radio, I wholeheartedly believe there are other things that really play into it and can help you out along the way. So I filmed a whole other video on this, kind of a story time about how I came to get my job. I'll link it down below. Long story short, if it was just based on my demo at the time, I don't think I would have got my job in Q, but because of those other things, they really helped me along the way. Whereas now I've been working in radio for a year and I sat on that panel and all the rest of it, I feel like I know exactly what it would take to make a really good demo now. Okay, so starting from the top, how long does your demo need to be? I was always told 2 minutes absolute maximum. When you think about it, station managers are getting demos in every single day. They're gonna know almost straight away if there is potential there or not. So what I would take away from that is obviously your demo's gonna be a highlight reel of your absolute best bits. But say they're gonna listen for 20, 30 seconds and click off. You don't want to build up, you know, start off slow and then build up to your absolute best bit at the very end of your 2 minutes, because a lot of the time station managers will have clicked off by that stage. So if you have something good, obviously, hopefully you have something good, that's kind of the whole point of your demo, put your absolute best bit at the start to grab the station manager's attention straight away. That would be my advice in terms of that. This next thing that I did, I don't know if this is common practice or not. If you know, you can let me know in the comments down below, but it never occurred to me to do anything else. So basically I custom made each demo to each station because I wanted to appear in the demo as though I was already presenting at that station. This did two things. I feel like it took the guesswork out of it for the station managers, so they could listen to my demo and I'd be talking as though, hello, I'm Victoria Quinn for Q Radio or whatever, and they could listen to the stuff I was talking about, the way I was presenting, as if I was already on that station. I think it just made their life that little bit easier and made it easier for them to make a decision of, okay, this person has potential, they'd slot in on our station, or no, I don't think so. And then the other thing, I think it just shows commitment, like you really want this job. I know if I was a station manager, I'd be much more inclined to keep listening to a demo and maybe give someone a chance that's obviously taken the time to sit down and custom make a demo, rather than someone that's maybe just grabbed their best bits from a student radio station show they were doing anyway and made it into a generic demo and sent it to all these different stations. I know at the end of the day, it does come down to how good a show you're going to do, but station managers are only human, and I think showing that you've went that extra mile really is going to stand you in a good light. So ways you can do that, with my Q demo, I spoke within that demo. I did a couple of different links and I acted as though I was already on shows that I potentially knew I could cover anyway. So most people will start on, I don't know, like the late night show, which is what I'm doing now, or maybe an overnight or a weekend breakfast, you know, those shows that are at stranger times. So I said on my demo, good evening, it's Victoria Quinn with the Into the Night show, or it's Victoria Quinn on the weekend breakfast. I referenced a competition that they had going on at that time. When I was editing it together, I took the little Q radio jingles, I just like recorded them on my phone from the radio and just put it in between songs or in between links that I was saying, just to kind of make life that little bit easier for the station manager. Up to you, but that's what I did, and in the end it worked. Number 3, don't waste loads of your 2 minutes demo time with music. I remember at that student radio day. So literally set the scene, the station manager sat there, room full of people, me beside him, and he was saying basically, you know, we know what the songs sound like, we want to know what you sound like, so don't waste the first 20 seconds, this big long tail of a song. Play like the last 2 seconds of the song and then you come, or else speak out, speak over the tail out. And he was making this like, he was making a thing of it basically because he must get it all the time, and I was low-key sliding down my chair like, oh, does he know that I did that in my demo, or does he forget? Like, obviously he wasn't saying it for badness or anything, like he was just making this point to these students, but I was thinking, if only I'd known that then. But at least you know this now, so don't make that mistake. Just kicked my camera, it's probably moved. Lovely. Anyway, content. Forgot what I was going to say there. So obviously content, goes without saying, is probably one of the most important things of your radio demo. Although if you're young, I don't know, maybe because I've wanted to be in radio from when I was 16, and when I was much younger I used to think that having a pleasing voice was the most important thing when it comes to making good radio or making a good demo. It was only when I got older I realised you can have the most soft, silky, soothing voice in the world, but if you're sat for a 3 or 4 hour radio show and you're just saying, that was this artist, now let's get on this artist, you're not going to stick out and you are not going to be interested. It's only been, well obviously as I got older I realised content was important, but it's really been since I've started working in radio and I've started listening to other presenters really closely. I've noticed so much more how the best presenters, obviously it's important to have a nice voice, like it goes without saying, that's part of the job, but the presenters that really stick out to me, they're the ones who can convey their personality across the airwaves, so it makes you feel like you actually know them. So some presenters have that way of speaking and it makes you feel like they're just sat beside you having a chat, like they're talking directly to you. Some presenters are really good at telling stories, or maybe they're talking about something that happened to them that day and you know, it makes you think, oh, me too. You kind of build a little relationship with them. So I personally feel like that's a big thing that plays into making good radio. I know a couple of station managers feel that too, in local radio it definitely is. So in your demo you want to convey essentially through your content that you know what it takes to make a good radio show. So I actually have some content examples written down and I'm going to get my laptop here to make sure I don't leave one of them out, because I'd be scared of doing it off the top of my head and then finishing filming and thinking, oh. So one sec. Okay, so if you're a bit more advanced in the world of radio, apologies, some of these might seem really back to basics, but I'm just thinking of the people that literally are maybe starting out with their first demo. I personally didn't know some of these whenever I first started in radio, so hopefully they'll be helpful and provide you with a little bit of knowledge into what you could include in your demo. So first thing I have written down here is a hook. So I don't know why I said that weird, a hook. Stations, they want their listeners to continue listening through the break. They don't want them to channel switch and go over to a competitor or whatever. So a way you can entice them to stay is tease or hook something coming up after the break. So that could be, oh, wait do you hear what happened to me today? I'll tell you in a minute. Or coming up in a few minutes, I have this song that broke the record for X, Y, and Z. You could include that in your demo to show that you know it's important that you hold on to your listeners through the break. And you don't even have to put the actual climax of the hook in your demo, but just putting something like that in to show you know you're aware that that's important. I need a bigger memory card. I don't think I've ever finished filming a video without having to get up and go change my memory card halfway through. Hopefully, pardon me, hopefully I'm still in focus. I did a little hiccup there. Anyway. Personality, that was the next thing I was going to touch on. Obviously I was talking earlier on about how that's important. I can't remember if I said that's how listeners feel like they get to know you, and then that creates a bit of a listener loyalty and, you know, builds the station's presence and all that. But yeah, it's a very important part of local radio. So obviously you want to show that you know that and try to convey a bit of personality in your demo. So I would say, oh, don't be afraid to drop your name throughout the demo, you know, and good evening, welcome back, it's Victoria Quinn keeping you company, you know, saying something like that. And then I would say find out what you're good at and try to let your personality shine through in the demo that way. So some people are good at telling stories, or some people are really, like, you know, they know all the latest music stuff that's happening, or some people are good at the little one-liners like, I keep my chocolate in the fridge, what about you? And then they go straight to the break. So just, yeah, like, I remember I was so scared to do anything even off the beaten track. Like, I really didn't talk that much at the start when I first started doing my show live, and then the first time that I got up the courage to put a little bit of personality in the show, and it was Birdseye had announced that you can actually cook your waffles in the toaster as well as the oven, but like, I'd always cooked my waffles in the toaster. I just made this one-off comment and the WhatsApp went mad. So, you know, even just little one-off things like that, just something to kind of make listeners wonder about you or think of you as a real person rather than just this mysterious voice behind the radio, you know? Oh, cross promoting. So when you do work at a radio station, then you'll sometimes be expected to cross promote either a competition that's on another show, or maybe just another show in general, or maybe just promote a competition that you're doing. So you could show that you know that that's a thing and you're very capable of doing that. So you could come out of a show and be like, and that was George Ezra. Oh, speaking of George Ezra, so-and-so from Drive Time, they're having a competition. They're giving away tickets to see his new gig next week or whatever. Make sure to go check that out. We wish. Flipping COVID, ruining everything. I can't wait till live music is back. But yeah, that's another way you could fill up a link within your demo. Then, why? I forgot to delete the last thing that I've recorded on this memory card as well. So then I had just cut off because I had no space left. And do you know what? You see, whenever I'm recording videos, am I in focus? I think I am. Hopefully I am. Whenever I'm recording videos, like, it's the same as when I'm doing my radio show. I imagine that I'm just like having a conversation with a friend, like I'm speaking to one person. So then when my camera flashes up and it's like movie recording stopped, it's just like my friend has been really rude and just cut over me for absolutely no reason. Anyway, water cooler topics, that's what I was just about to talk about. So this could make up another little link. Water cooler topics are just like a little random conversation starter, kind of like the type of thing people would maybe talk about in work later that day or whatever, if they're listening to this on breakfast on the way to work or whatever. So it could be, what celebrity would you want as a best friend, or what superpower would you have? You could use this to kind of sink into a personality link as well. So you could talk about your opinion on that water cooler topic and then be like, but what about you? And throw it to the listeners, you know. That's another thing, kind of show that you know it's important that listeners engage in radio. So in one of your links you could mention, so that's my opinion on that, but what do you think? Like, let me know on the WhatsApp or give us a call, etc, etc. Word economy is the next thing I've written down, and I say that with this face because I'm still trying to get on top of my word economy. Why use 100 words when you could use 1,000? I'm a bit of a chatterbox, but in the world of radio, don't keep going over and reiterating the same point or going round in circles. Kind of make your point and move on. Otherwise, listeners could get bored and you could, I don't know, irritate them, or they could channel switch, flick, whatever you would call it. So yeah, that's an important thing in the real world of radio. So you want to show that you know that in your demo. Gonna go a bit cheesy for this next point, but I love this saying, and you know what? It translates very well into the world of radio. So it's always better to be a first-rate version of yourself than a second-rate version of someone else. And I found this out the hard way. So I've been making demos on and off from I was probably like 18, and obviously like I still hadn't got a presenting job. So I was scheduled to, this was pre-Q by the way, I was scheduled to have a meeting with a local station manager, and around this time I was like, well, obviously what I've been doing up until now hasn't worked, so why don't I just listen to some of the big female voices, like radio presenters within Northern Ireland, and just try to replicate their style, because obviously what they're doing is working. So I'm going to do that too, and then I'll get a radio job. So that's what I did for that particular set of demos. And then I was sat in front of him, and he flat out told me, he was like, Victoria, you're sitting in front of me. And he said some really lovely things. He was like, you know, like you're bubbly and you're chatty and da 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 da. And then I'm listening to your demos and your demos don't sound like the person that is sat in front of me. And he said in the world of radio, like you putting on that persona to go on air, he was like, people don't keep that up. And as well, like listeners aren't stupid when something's not genuine. Like most of the time they can tell. He was like, you'll excel so much more if you, he's like, I know it can be hard to just like speak into your microphone and try to sound like yourself. But he was like, if you can master that and your own personality comes across, you're going to do so much better than trying to like shoehorn yourself into sounding like other people. Like the reason that it works for those other female voices and presenters is because they are literally being themselves. Like that's why it works. And I remember at the time like nodding and being like, oh, and inside I was dying. I was quite upset because it's never nice to really want a career and then be told, be given tough love basically. But looking back, that was really good advice that he gave me. So yeah, don't change yourself for anybody unless you're not nice, but then you'll probably not get that far anyway. But yeah, that was an interesting comment. This video will be interesting to look back on in years to come because there's this notion that you have to be cutthroat to get really far in this industry and not be nice and da 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 da. I hope I'm not being naive, but I literally haven't met anyone horrible in the world of radio so far. Like everyone's been really, really lovely. So I don't know, like in my experience, it seems to be the nice people that have got far. We'll see. Hopefully it stays that way. So now when it comes to physically making your demo, often people will already know someone within a radio station and that station's more than happy to have them in, let them use the spare studio and they can make their demo there. Happy days. Can you hear my mum? That's the dog is home and my mum is so excited. But yeah, if that's the case for you, happy days. But if you're literally starting out and you don't have access to that, honestly, just use your phone. Whenever it was that Student Radio Association day, the station manager, he does have a name. Gareth. I don't know. Yeah, his name's Gareth. I don't know why I referred to him as the station manager the whole way through this. Hiya, Gareth, if you're watching. But he said, you know, whenever he gets demos in, he's not like judging it on the quality of the actual like whole recording as a whole. He's literally judging you and your presenting. So use what you have and do the best you can with it. Use free editing software on your computer and put the whole thing together that way. I've met up with another station manager pre-Q and he said the exact same thing to me. The last thing that I had written down, it was coming from me, this is ironic, this is my second time filming this YouTube video because the first time it wasn't perfect, but the last thing I've written down in terms of making a demo is be willing to put something out there that isn't perfect. So I know I fell into the trap when it came to making demos of like I would make them and I would listen back and think, oh, these aren't good, and then I just wouldn't send them out. But you know, often radio stations are listening for potential rather than the finished product. So, you know, if you've done it, you can approach station managers or presenters and say, look, I know I maybe have a long way to go, but do you have any feedback for me? And, you know, yes, they're busy people, but sometimes they might give you feedback and they might pick up on something in your demo that you didn't pick up on before. So the more you do something, like I hated doing demos at the start, but the more you do them, the easier that they get. Same with YouTube videos. Like I put off filming sometimes because I feel like I get awkward on camera, but it's got easier as the weeks and months have went on. So yeah, I'll grab my laptop because I had a little recap and just make sure that I've covered everything. So 2 minutes max. Jam pack that demo with your personality and to show that you have your radio knowledge and cross promoting and hooks and all that. Feel free to drop your name into it. Word economy. Oh, structure it well, but don't write it out. You'd be surprised, people do that sometimes. So yeah, that's kind of my overview of how to make a demo, what sort of things you should be putting into your demo. Hope it has helped you out a little bit. I have to go to work in a few hours now, so I'm gonna go get my dinner, and that's me. But yeah, whatever you're at for the rest of your day, I hope you're having a good one. If you have, as always, any questions or video requests, you can leave them down below. You can follow me on my social medias. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Like every time I get a new subscriber, it fills my heart with so much happiness. So if you wanna fill my heart with happiness, feel free to join this little community. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.